The Wolf of Wall Street is one of the 9 films nominated for Best Picture at this Sunday's Academy Awards, but for as much praise as it's gotten a lot of criticism as well. I'm here with Jim Cramer. Jim, you know, this film has gotten a lot of heat for the portrayal of Jordan Belfort's life as a stockbroker in the 80s. As someone who worked on Wall Street back then for Goldman Sachs, was this an accurate portrayal?
Yes. I mean, stunningly accurate. Now, I don't know about the sex part. Was he a bad guy? Does he belong in prison forever? A lot of people at banks have gotten away with a lot of things. So, I mean, was he any worse than some of these bankster gangsters? No. Here's what's important. This is our Scarface. This is literally our Scarface. This is, if you remember Scarface, about a drug kingpin who comes up from nothing in Florida to kind of take over the drug world for a while. Jordan Belfort represented a strain that was the anti-Goldman. Basically saying, you know what, screw you. Now, if you remember at the beginning, he was at a large firm, and Matthew McConaughey has an amazing scene with him. And then he goes the rogue way, and starts with penny stocks and builds up an organization. They even had Steve Madden. That was great. That deal was done by them. Here's what's important to understand. This is one of the saddest stories I've ever seen. So you may think that Jordan Belfort's still out there and he's doing his promotional things, but this is the absolute riches to rags story. Meaning that while he started with rags, he got rich and his life fell apart. And I thought this was an amazing movie. And in terms of its accuracy about that particular world, or the penny stock world, the world where you try to move stocks up through boiler room, I'll put it in there with margin call, in there with Wall Street, which I helped him be involved in, as movies that capture Wall Street. This, of course, is the underside of Wall Street. It is real, not the. Remember, Michael Douglas, Gecko. That was actually the pinnacle of Wall Street at that time. This is the opposite, and it's a very true and sad depiction of what happened.
It's the anti-greed
for
Wall Street.
It is, I don't know, I found it, I mean, I wasn't despondent when I left, but I was like, wow, that was a really sad tale. What great acting, what great writing, what great directing. I sure hope it wins.
Well, and you weren't a part of that world per se.
No, I was the opposite world, meaning that I was part of this world where I worked at Goldman Sachs. He said, listen, you can really help clients. There's a remarkable scene where he's converted, when DiCaprio's converted by McConaughey, where he basically says, listen, you know, the goal is not to help those people. The goal is just to get rich yourself. And he's like astonished that that's the case. And then, of course, he becomes the ultimate guy who does not help the client. He helps them. And that's a sad journey that he took. And there's also,
you didn't witness those sorts of things
I mean,
because you were in a different world.
No, there's a scene where a woman has her hair cut and makes money. I mean, it's like this degrading, demeaning thing. But at the same time, there are people who made money who were single moms that had nothing. And the confluence in that movie is amazing. And there's a lot of great tales of greed, but also great tales of sadness. But no, I mean, I worked at Goldman. He hated the Goldmans. This was like, I hate you, Goldman. I can make more money than you. And I guess I was part of the hated cohort. Well, so what? I mean, I also had, I didn't come from a wealthy background. You didn't have to go his way. And he was a bad guy. And my favorite stuff, frankly, is the prosecutor going after him. And in the end, reading the paper on the subway, going home.
Has that side of Wall Street changed?
Yes. Government's gotten very good. Now, the government's not great. It missed all the big honchos who drove this country into a tremendous Great Recession. But it has been very good at policing the little guy. And I think that's a shame. They need to go after the big guy. They never did. They slapped the banks on the wrist. They go after the little guy. And frankly, you know, who had the worst impact on our nation? Not Jordan Belfort.
Well, is your money on this one?
No, American
Sunday?
Hustle, which I also like, by the way. Great acting, great story. Love the conclusion. Don't want to give it away, but Wolf of Wall Street was what it was like on the other side of the tracks.
Wow, well, so interesting. Thank you so much. Jim Cramer, I'm Brittany Umar for TheStreet.